Good morning, Bardstown and Nelson County, and welcome to Bradford and Brooks. Jim Brooks and Margie Bradford with you on this absolutely gorgeous Wednesday morning here in beautiful downtown Bardstown. Margie, I walked outside this morning and I almost went back for a light jacket.
I know.
It's like not used to feeling such cool temperatures.
I know. We're unused to that.
Well, like I was just a few short weeks ago, my wife and I were in Bowling Green for the weekend, and it was hot as blazes in there. So it's a welcome change from the high temperatures we've had. But late August, early September usually isn't such a cool time of the year. So anyway, whatever the reason, global cooling or whatever, I'll take it and enjoy it.
Well, the denizens of my backyard enjoyed it too. Last night, about 8 o'clock, there were 8 deer in my backyard. So I don't know if they were having a family reunion or what it was, but they were making themselves quite at home.
Well, I know there's a city ordinance against firing weapons or firearms in the city, but it seems like you might get them to temporarily carve you out of the city for a while, and you could sell tickets for deer season.
Well, if I wasn't against firearms, I'd say do that.
Well, our special guest today is Nelson County Judge-Executive Tim Hutchins, and you probably heard him yesterday here on WBRT, and you hear him on the internet, and he's got I've told him this personally, that the weekly radio show is such an asset, I think, to getting the word out about things and interact with constituents. People can listen, and if nobody calls or texts with their question, they can call or text WBRT during your show and get it. And you bring on some good people. I know you've had the mayor of Fairfield and I believe New Haven on before.
That's correct.
And members of people working the county government. And I think I don't know. It's been a long time since I've heard how many people work for the county, but a lot of things wouldn't get done if we didn't have county employees to do it. And they do a lot of work and a lot of good work. And I don't know that we appreciate them enough. When we see that something gets done. I know that I can't remember how many miles of roadway the county maintains.
300 and I think it's like 340 or so. It's a lot. And then the state's got more than that, and they've got, of course, 2-lane highways. But
right. Anyway,
first of all, I want to say thank you to Margie and Jim for having me on, and I feel like it's a mainstay. I almost own this place. I was teasing Margie about it because Mr. Ralph Stratton and his wife Lisa made me. I've showed it on my show. Got my own special glass where I come in and get my water. Got my name on it. Y'all haven't moved up to that level yet.
No, absolutely not.
When they've been remodeling here and cleaning it up and doing a lot of stuff, and it looks pretty nice. So told Ralph, I said, I think since I did my radio show, he's got so many people buying ads and everything. Now he's got a little cash flow, so it helped him out. See, you
gotta have cash flow. You know that,
cash flow. So he's So anyway, I'm glad y'all had me on. And if you got any more questions, I did my state of the county. I don't know, probably a month or so ago, and put it out on all the social media and all the sites, and I've had it on my radio show and WBRT and the Gazette, and what's the other one, G&G, and we have been trying to put as much information as we can out, and our fiscal court sites, and it's pretty amazing that we had a fiscal court meeting. So you always wonder when you're in business, running ads. Then when you get into the political world, and when you're doing campaigning and running ads, and then when you get into the leadership position, trying to get the message out, and you put all this stuff out, and so how many people do you reach? how do you get your message out?
Right.
And you go through it and study it, and I've studied it and all the different professionals. But I do know one thing. Some people listen to this show, and they listen to my show, and when we're doing these live fiscal court meetings now, people listen because we had an individual come up and spoke about, because I do the public comment, and I had an individual come in and speak about 2 weeks ago, 3, and he was pretty adamant about his opinion, I guess. And when I left that meeting, that was a morning meeting, I think, at 9 o'clock, yeah. And I left that meeting and went to 2 or 3 other meetings, and people calling and texting, and so some people was listening to something, because, I mean, it was everywhere. Went to the funeral home that night, I forget who it was, and then as soon as I walked in the door, Judge, so that means that people are listening, and that's what I like. You know, you may not hear them complain or compliment or call or text, but there's a lot of people that's listening.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing, you know, whether you agree or disagree, you at least try to get the message out and what you're trying to do. And I know this court and myself, we've been as transparent and trying to get everything we can get out. I don't, you know, we just, we want feedback. And if there's something going wrong or a complaint, and I know this number, 348-2222. That's the same number, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we tell them to call, and then and I also tell them always to call 348-1800, because that's our office number and my staff. And the thing what I found out over the years and the last few years is people said, who do I call about a tree on a state road? Or who do I call about you know, some people don't know city roads, state roads, county roads. They just don't really know, and that's understandable.
Sure.
I mean, when you get out in rural secondary roads and stuff, so I encourage them all to call 348-1800 with a problem, complaint, a ditch stopped up pipe, so we can get it to the right people.
Right.
You know, because we know the people to call and send it to, and it may not happen overnight, but I think it's been pretty successful by getting, projects done and completed, and safety issues,
Sure.
and street lights. And street lights is a big one because, we had, I don't know how many we had out, but we've put up over 100 more since I've been in, and the fiscal court's adopted that policy and at intersections. And when you get older like Jim here and you can't see as good at night, and those right street lights are very important. So but when they go out, we need to be notified because we're not riding every road every night to see when the street light goes out. So
right.
Wintertime especially, this time of year stays dark.
It's a huge safety issue.
Yeah. Well, Judge, I will tell
Very
you
important.
that having and I didn't realize it. Of course, I've been living out off Louisville Road now for 20-some years, but when we moved out there, I didn't realize how important those lights at the intersections were until we became part of the Louisville Road Loop, and then there was nothing there, and it's like you're coming down Louisville Road from Louisville, well, you can't see where that turn is without a street light there.
That's exactly right. And
You right up on it before you realize it.
Yeah, we started that program. I don't know. I'll take credit. I think I was one who proposed it back in the early '90s when Judge Watts and the fiscal court, and we had a policy in place that we would do 5 per year in each district, magistrate district.
Right. 5 street lights.
5 street lights per year per district. And then we've turned them in as a magistrate, and then we also had an agreement we rewrote our subdivision regulations then, and as developers put in a new subdivision, they would put one at the entrance of their development.
Right.
Now, somewhere along the line, some of that fell through the cracks and so on, and some of the new magistrates maybe didn't know the policies, and so when I became judge, and we call it the Margie, like this, the big beautiful bill. When I said, it took me about 1.5 years to get this thing written up, and we had some ARPA money, and that's when we incorporated with all the magistrates and all their needs, and we rewrote all the subdivision regulations. It's going to save the county hundreds and hundreds of $1,000s in resurfacing over the next 20 to 30 years, the way we did this. And then we're going to escrow some of the money when the developer's putting the streets in without causing any more burden on the taxpayers or the developers. And at the same time, and we studied about, I don't know, I've got a manual about 5 inches thick. Our engineers worked on this.
Right.
And like I said, it took about a year and a half. Well, I came down with that cancer somewhere in that time too, so it delayed it somewhat. Mm-hmm. And then when we put that package together, we studied the surrounding counties and private roads that were, in my opinion, most of them, or a lot of them was built, not built correctly, falling apart.
Right.
And then we put in more drainage and things, and then we make sure they're going to have water back to private roads and internet. So then we put the internet package together, and then we put the water package together, like Hurricane Hills we're doing. Some private roads we did with state money, not local money. So we put all this together as one package. Then we put the streetlight program in it. We redid the phone system, saved us about, 812s, 90. Say we was paying $9,300 a month. We got it down to about $2,350 a month. Wow. Changing all the phone systems around went through the internet lines. So we took that money, allocated that money to help pay for the street lights, because you got a bill there eventually. And then it's Salt River and whoever, they don't put them up for free. So there's a charge to that. So we did all that, put it all in one package, and so we got water going in a lot of places. We're not in the water business, but we work with different water districts, North Nelson, the city of Bardstown, and so on, and help get the water. There's a lot of places still didn't have water, you wouldn't believe, and a lot of it on private roads. So we worked out a deal like Hurricane Hills. They teamed up with us. They paid so much of it. And when you get that water, then you get more fire protection, fire hydrants in a lot of cases. If you got a 6-inch line, you got field stations. So we're working on that project now. The internet, I will say one thing on the internet. There was a call or somebody called and I guess complaining somewhat about the internet in the south end of the county. And I'll bring it up today because I just got that earlier. The county's not in the internet business.
Right.
The city sold their business to Spectrum. They're in a year of transition. And Spectrum's been really good. They've helped me already on some places that there's what we call these little pockets around the county that you go back that just got left out.
Right.
And we've done a bunch of them. And Spectrum, which is Charter really, and we worked with them to help get some grant money through the ARPA funds, and I'm thinking it's up over maybe $2 or $3 million. We had to put up some ARPA money as a down payment.
Right.
So back to this lady's question, the Howardstown area, maybe some New Hope areas, mainly most of it's in the south, and there's several hundreds of people. And I talked to one of the engineers today, and before they can put these lines up, they have to make sure all the poles need to be replaced. They said there's over 2,000 poles that needs to be replaced before they got to have them tall enough where they can put these lines up, because usually the fiber lines are at the bottom normally, and they can't get too low. You can't get out of your driveway.
That's right.
So there's a whole lot going on there, and without us working this package together, we wouldn't even be here talking about it. But we've got it together. It's been approved. The fiscal court's approved it, and we're waiting basically on the third-party companies now to start, and they're really trying to gear up to do that. And whoever this person, I'm going to try to call them, let them know that. But I'm trying to let everybody on the south end know that's where the most of it was at.
Right.
So we're gearing toward that, and when this package gets done, completely done, about 98, 99% of everybody in the county will have access to internet. But it's like I say, it takes time. You can't go out there and put up 2,000 poles in a day.
What kind of poles are there? Are those big metal poles?
No, they're like regular light poles.
Regular light.
Yeah, regular wooden light poles.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, I wanted to ask you, since we got you in here, and I haven't seen Ginger's video online about the meeting, and I know that last night City Council discussed and began the process of setting their new tax rate. Give us an update on what fiscal court was doing last night. I think you all discussed the tax rate too. Or?
We did too. We had just kind of updates you. When I first came in, the tax rate was 13.7, and we went below the compensating rate, and that the state recommended the first year, we went to 12.7. And we made a commitment we're going to create a culture that we're going to live within our means, and we don't want any, and I campaigned on that, we want to lower the taxes, and we did. We went down a whole point, which is the first time, I think, in history, a full point. I think you said that.
Yeah, and I think I think that's the first time I'd ever heard the county went below the compensating rate.
Yes, and then, so the second year, we went to 12. It was 12, so it went from 13.7 to 12.7, then we went to 12 last year, which was below the state's 4% recommended rate. And then this year we went to 11.8. And 11.12 was the 4% if you could take your full 4% of your revenue increase.
Right.
And we decided to go 11.8. The compensating rate alone was 11.6. Now you get your new growth and stuff in there, and I know I'm going to hear from different people. Well, my taxes have went up. Well, I'm going to tell you, when you get your tax bill, and I'm not criticizing everybody because I'm not on all these committees and the school boards, and they got to do their thing. Everybody's got an agreement, disagreement, opinions. But if you look at what the fiscal court gets, it says county tax. It's pretty minimal compared to most of the rest of them. I'm going to tell you.
Well, especially, I'll go ahead and say that your school taxes are generally some of the biggest tax money you get to pay on your taxes.
It is. It's a lot. And, I know you got, there's different opinions about school taxes, what you can do and can't do. And I think Nelson County school system, what I read, again, I'm not on any of those committees, they went a little bit below what they didn't take the full 4.
Okay.
And I think the city school districts took the full 4%. And
well, the way that is figured is as a floor, not a ceiling. In other words, when the legislature figured that up, of what you're for, that you're allowed to take the 4% revenue, that includes inflation, which happens every year. You're going to have increasing prices every year of everything that you do. So it was determined that was a floor, not a ceiling.
If you look at that formula state, it's so confusing. That's where I've studied it. Have you ever really studied it?
No, it is.
Golly, I still don't really understand it, how they come up with that number. You get 2 or 3 pages, and the hard part of it is on our side, I don't really know about the school side or the other, but we have to have our budget passed by July 1st.
Right.
Yeah.
And you start like in, let's say, May. We start early, March, April.
Sure.
Then you got to have it first reading on the budget, and then you send it to the state, and then they got to approve it. And you're really kind of guesstimating this number based on previous history. And it's kind of backwards, really, because you don't know what this is going to be and what the court's going to vote on and what revenue is going to be until you get that from the state.
Right.
That comes in, I guess we start getting that rate in by the end of July, 1st of August.
Yeah.
That you got to pass your budget in July, 1st of July. So it's kind of sort of backwards. So it's not easy. It's easy to criticize, but it's not easy to do all this stuff. So I don't. It's it just takes a lot of money to operate. But you got the assessments and some of the assessments that when they adjust them, and they've got to follow the PVA's got to follow the state guidelines, and there's a lot of mandates that you have to do. So we are fortunate enough in this county that we've had enough new growth that in a lot of cases that it does help offset it.
Sure.
Now, our biggest problem going forward. And can I elaborate here a little bit?
Sure, go ahead.
So, before Margie asked me a bunch of tough questions, but we got to pay this fiscal court, and I've said it, but I don't want people to really listen to it. But what is our budget? $40-something million total. Our occupational tax in this county is 0.5%, and it has a $75 cap. Okay, now, compared to most cities and other counties and so on, it's about as low as you can get.
Yeah.
The cap at $75, and then the first thing I want to clear up, I'm not advocating to raise any taxes on anybody, but I'm just telling you what we have to deal with. So every time there's a job that comes in Nelson County, we probably get $75.
Yeah.
And I've talked to the BIDC about it, and I've talked to the mayor of Bardstown about it. When we're creating jobs, we're trying to get industrial parks and things, and it's good for the families and good for the kids and people to work.
Sure.
But as far as revenue, helping the county to provide all these, ambulances and police and everything else, it don't bring a lot of revenue in for the county government.
Right.
It's $75 really about all you're going to get. In most cities and counties are 1% uncapped.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you $60,000 job, somebody comes in and makes $60,000, in this case, Marion County's got it, Washington County, City of Bardstown, they get 1%, they get $600. Mm-hmm. We get $75. Mm-hmm. So you got to put that in your budget, and it's tough. Then we got to subsidize the police department. Mm-hmm. The sheriff department on the patrol side,
right.
It averages about, this year's going to be over $3 million.
Wow.
The jail,
mm-hmm.
and that's a big subject statewide. I met with a bunch of judges just last week, and you go through Kentucky Association of Counties and League of Cities and everybody that's talked about it, but the county has to provide the jail. And it's nationwide. I even talked something nationwide. It's not just a statewide deal. So we have to subsidize the jail as our budget is today, $2.4 million. Mm-hmm. Now, if the jailer didn't do a lot of things in creative and the fiscal court about some medical and some phone systems and a lot of other things that and the food cost
sure.
that he's proposed and we've worked with him and adopted that 2.4 would probably be close to $3 million today. Because
right.
we've tried to make it as tight as we can make it. And then a good thing about it, we do use the inmate program that mm-hmm. the fiscal court approved with the jailer and his policy, and we use the inmates around, and then you got the canteen funds that we've been buying, and he's been it's the jailer's thing. We've worked together on it. Mm-hmm. We just bought another mower that we use, and the weed eaters and just different things we use throughout the county. So that helps provide those needs without costing taxpayers any money.
Right.
But still, at the end of the day, we're subsidizing $2.4 million, and it's going up every year, mm-hmm. and it's going up. We got to subsidize the ambulance service about right. $1.5 million, probably this year 1.6, because of Medicare and Medicaid and all the insurance companies. You can raise your ambulance runs to $10,000 run if you want to, but you know what you're going to get. It's easy to say that. I've heard people say it, but it don't work that way.
Right.
And, getting your paramedics and trying to keep your rates up where you can keep good help. And we've done that, and we're trying to do a little more, make sure we've got to the point where we're having people apply, where we used to have to go out and go after them. We got people wanting to work in the county. And then when you do that, you take your garbage, your landfill, your road department. We got to be competitive.
Sure. And
I think we're competitive. We pay a little more than most of the rural counties, actually. So you add all that up, and then I got to write a check for $1,370,000 this year to the health department. Mm-hmm. So all that being said, there's 8 counties in the Lincoln Trail Health Department. This division, we're the only county that does not have a health department tax.
Right.
All the other counties are self-supporting because they got a health department tax they've had on the books for years. Mm-hmm. Nelson County's the only one that doesn't, and I got to write a check, the fiscal court, $1,370,000 to run the health department. So you add all that up, and then we got to provide, all these services in the road department and blacktop and all that. It's tough.
Well,
now,
I remember several meetings back you said you were going to look at the health department and the cost. Did you?
Got it.
What's your thoughts on that? Because I know everybody, the other counties have their tax.
Yep,
but fiscal court writes that check, annual check,
and
to them.
It comes right out of our general fund. And I tell you, I've done a pretty significant feasibility study that you're going back to that I've done. I asked a lot of questions and upset a lot of people in some other counties and different leadership, but You know, unless you get the answers and the equations and what they're offering and what they can do, you know, I don't think I'm doing my due diligence. You know, I'm not criticizing them.
Right.
But some people thought I was criticizing them. But when you ask questions and you can't get answers, I don't like it too much. So I actually hired a guy to go out and do it for me. And I didn't have time to do it. We just don't have time. We got so many things going on that we have started since I've been the judge. That's just a lot of different things that needed to be done. We're trying to improve on, and all the different ordinances need to be updated and planning, all that stuff. So I do have it. I got it, I guess, partially done, but I haven't got to the final end yet to see where, if there's more changes that can be made that would help save the money. We got to do something different.
Right.
Something's got to be done different. I told the magistrates last night, you can't continue what we're doing because we're going to lose $2 million in this bourbon barrel tax in about 9 years, and our estimation on it is, and again, it goes back to some of this, what are you going to get? Kind of use it on history, and you think that you're going to get a certain amount that you try to allocate, and we was assuming under the assumption that with the bourbon industry was growing. Now, anybody kept up with it in the last year and what's happened in the last few weeks, if you read all the articles, a lot of them are going under.
It's shrinking.
A lot of them are going down. Sales are going down. So when we get about I think I'm going to average 2 million, 1.8, 1.9, about $2 million a year. And we was under the assumption that's about 1.8. It'd get up to about $2 million, and maybe 2.2 or 3 in 8 or 10 years, and then that's when it starts falling off the cliff. We know we're going to end up off the cliff in 20 years. We know that.
Right.
The state passed that thing, and so that's what I keep telling them all after I just told you all the money that's going out, and that none of that's going down. So we've got to be very creative and come up with some funding and try to figure out how we're going to do this. Because when I leave this job, I want to make damn sure the next person that sits in here is not going to be in I don't want to leave any kind of jeopardy, Well,
Tim, let me ask you a quick
So it's
question.
tough. It's not easy, It's a lot of work, a lot of planning. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask you, Tim, and I'm sure you've already done this, what revenue does that, does the health department tax bring in with other counties compared to what Nelson County's paying? Because it's a tax, the people that live in those counties are paying it. It's not coming from government.
It's a 2% is what they.
2% of what?
2% of your 2% of your valuations, property valuations.
Okay.
So it's been going up 12% a year in the last 3 or 4 years. A 12% increase. Last year it was $1,250,000. This year it's going to be $1,370,000. And about way I've got it figured, in about 5, 6, 7 short years, it's going to be $2 million that we're going to have to allocate to the health department. And if you figure that, based on your property valuations, which we've had some strong increases here in this county, well, that's a good thing when it comes to trying to lower your rates and things like that. But it's a bad thing when it comes to that.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
2%, there's an agreement, and I will get into the details of it. There's a 2%. 1.8 is a state law. There's an agreement with the Lincoln Trail that everybody's agreed to do 2%. So 1.8, and then we could go down 0.2%, which help maybe a little bit, but there's 2 counties out of the Lincoln Trail area district, out of the 8 counties that have it, but they actually manage the health department themselves. They don't go through that district management. They operate it and own it and manage it themselves, and because they still get their tax.
Right. Is Grayson County one of them?
Grayson and Grayson and Breckenridge, I think it is.
I didn't know Breckenridge was.
Yeah.
Grayson County's been doing that because how many years ago I worked for the paper over there when I got out of college. But anyway, that.
So there's just
it's
a
hard
lot
to
of
control
things.
cost like that when you're.
Yeah, that's a formula that it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
It's pretty tough. And then you've got, of course, you got the Nelson County clinic that provides a lot of services too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and which is really good. And I've talked to some people on that board, and I've got some thoughts about some things that needs to happen or should happen. but I've just got to wait till I get my plan completely completed. But there is, I think there's some duplication of services because of that, and so we've got to, we'll just have to see. And then I haven't really talked to the state, I forgot the name of their state leadership in that division, that we'd have to sit down and meet and try to see if there's any way we can, but we can't keep doing what we're doing. I'm going to tell you right now, the only way you can keep doing what you're doing is somebody's got to pay more money. And this, you know, the revenue stream, like say when this bourbon barrel tax goes away, it's going to be tough. So, but I've got some things I'm working on. I can't really get into the details of it yet, but we, you know, we're trying to get another industrial park. The mayor and I, and the city and the county and the Industrial Development Corporation.
I was going to ask you about that. I know you all been having special sessions at the end of meetings related to real estate. And I'm like, well, I don't know if that's.
What do you think that's about? Well, you got these
industrial land.
You got these NDAs, you know, when you go in executive session,
Sure.
and that's just the way the law is, and you got these NDAs that people don't want to disclose anything, so you got to sign these non-disclosure agreements and trying to work out the details, and it's not like I don't want to hide anything, and I just want to tell you about all of it, but when it can jeopardize the value of land and somebody try to take advantage of you as a government entity, we don't want that either. So,
well, or jeopardize the opportunity that may come here too.
Yeah, so we're looking. I feel real good about us getting another industrial park that we're going to need, and the proximity of Nelson County with the Bluegrass Parkway, and you know, about 12 minutes from 65, and you know, the mayor and the city has done a lot on improving on the infrastructure of the sewer, and then, of course, we've got the big water line coming out of Louisville for the water that's going to take care of us for many, many more years, and so we've got a good opportunity, and just got to keep moving forward. And there's a lot of things that the people demand and need and want. Can you do without some of them? You know, I think you can, but how far do you want to go? And you want the quality of life, people living here. You know, I've told them again, I've said this publicly, is our baseball and softball complex, we're out of room at Watts Park. You know, we developed that, it's been over 30 years probably now, 25 to 30 years, and we out of room. You know, you get more kids, more growth, and you got to do something if you want to keep going, or you're going to start telling your kids. I'd hate it when they come to me and say, you can't play because there's no room.
Right.
And it's going to come to that eventually. I scrambled around last year and found some fields just for practice on all over the county, tried to help them, and but eventually we're going to be out of room because our baseball and softball numbers. Well, T-ball, we had 21 teams using one field. What about that? Just think about that. That's pretty easy to figure.
Yeah. Tim?
So, anyway, I just don't want to bore you.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you something. Now, you're talking about the need right now for more revenue, the need for more revenue in the future. But if fiscal court won't even take their allowable 4%, that would help with what you're talking about. And you're not only losing the money for this year, you're losing it for every ensuing year by not taking your allowable 4%.
Is that a question?
Well, yeah. The question is why wouldn't you take it and to to alleviate that, or to partially alleviate that.
Well, eventually,
you're tying your hands if you continue as county judge, or as somebody else as county judge. You've lost that money not only for this year but for every succeeding year. So, if you're having increasing expenses, which you just now said we do and are going to have for services that people need and want. And they may fuss about paying their taxes, but you have to pay for what you get. So my question is, why wouldn't you take the allowable 4%, which is the legislature has determined as a floor, not a ceiling,
right?
That's what you need to carry on the same services that you did the year before, not increased services, but the same services.
Well, just to give you a direct answer, I guess, is trying to develop when I campaigned and running, and I don't know what they did. I know when I was a magistrate, I don't think, looking back, and we had a very conservative fiscal court even then, a pretty conservative court, and we determined then that we did not want to overtax anybody, and I was out for 12 years when I left as a magistrate for 17 years. I don't think any of those 17 years we took the full 4%. And I was out for 12 years, and I can't remember exactly what they did. But based on people's tax bills and campaigning and talking and all, you got the extension tax. There's a lot of talk about the library tax. And then you get the soil conservation tax. You get all these taxing districts. Then you got the school tax. And school tax is on about every bill you pay on top of this, utility bills and so on. Do we need all of it? Or how far do you go? Or can you live within your means? We have decided to live within our means. Now, I'm not saying in the future we won't have to take a 4% increase. We may have to take a 4% down the road. But this court, and I have proposed it, and
that would be within your means.
Yeah, well, we have trying to give people back and trying to cut as much as we can to give it back to them. And that's just our difference of opinion and how we operate as a court and how I operate. And we're trying to give as much back to the people as we can. And that's why we got to get creative on some of these other things. And I'm more of a fee-based person than I am a tax-based person. If you're using this, I'm going to pick on planning and zoning because I like picking on them. So landfill fees, garbage fees, 911 fees, planning and zoning fees. When the government has to subsidize all that, and I'll pick on myself, because I used planning and zoning over the years, still use them a little bit, developing, building houses and putting in infrastructure. You got to go through those plat approvals and all that. We subsidize that planning and zoning about 80% of the money that goes, their budget is subsidized by government money. It may even been close to, it was probably close to 90%. Now, the previous administration, what I was told is they've always said, we don't want to raise the fees, we're going to keep it that way. Well, I believe just the opposite. Now, they have adjusted their fees 2 years in a row. Planning and zoning has adjusted their fees. And I think, and that's going to offset some of these expenses because whoever's using that office, you probably don't ever use it, do you?
I've only used it once when I added a garage at home.
Yeah.
But that's,
I don't know, have you ever really used a planning and zoning for anything? Probably 90% of the people in the community, I'm going to say maybe 95% of them, have never been in that office, don't ever use it, and don't need to use it. Now, to offset some of that, that does help keep and maintain the structure and the cleanliness and try to do things in a proper way. So subsidizing is somewhat I don't have no problem with. But my initial goal is try to get it up to 75-25 the other way. But we ever get to that? I don't know. But they have adjusted their fees this last 2 years, and this year a little bit more. And the county government fiscal court pays 63% of that. That 80 to 90%. We pay 63% of that. I don't have those numbers with me, but so same way on the 911 fees. We was subsidizing that dispatch center, and then we brought it under the fiscal court. The city, the county, and all the leadership and everything. They wanted to, like I needed another headache. It was being run by a board, right, for years. And when I was a magistrate, we used to have 2 dispatch centers, and the city, county got together and we worked it out and got it under one dispatch center. And of course, the question came now, so why didn't y'all do it that way before? Because we didn't have the votes. The only way we could get it done is create a board, city, county, all the emergencies, and operate under a board. And it worked good for years. But as time goes on, you got different opinions and views, and you got different directors, not directors, but different chairman of the board that they have to actually was the boss of the dispatch. I think they had 7 directors in 5 years. So that tells you there's a problem somewhere. Or 7, 8 years, they had 7 directors. So they come to me, different ones, said we need to do this, and I met with the mayor and the city and all of it, because dispatch does countywide. I would prefer, headache-wise, it would stay right under the city, let the mayor take care of it, but they agreed to it. It's time to move on and make it and everybody in the past, I think, has done a great job, and we're trying to get it up to the next level. We're putting 3 more tires up throughout the county. We bought a bunch of radios for them for the emergency people to get out, police and all that. So we've adjusted the 911 fees to offset that. So the government, us, and the city agreed to pay 3 more years of their appropriations to help us so we can get the equipment. The equipment is so high, and it gets outdated. I mean, you can't do anything about it because you order a part for this thing, you can't get it. So the companies, they know that, and that's just part of their business plan.
Sure.
So we've had to adjust the 911 fees to get that where it's going to be self-sufficient, which offsets some of this tax decrease up on this side. And landfill fees, the 3, I'll just tell you real quick, Washington County, somewhere in the 12 years, they lost Washington County. And I worked on it.
Getting close. All right, you're listening to Bradford and Brooks, our very special studio guest, Nelson County Judge-Executive Tim Hutchins. And Judge, I think it's the first time you've been on here since you launched your own radio show that airs every Tuesday from 11 to noon. And of course, you can find it on the WBRT and Nelson County Gazette Facebook pages. I'll try to get that up there today. All right, we'll be back in just a moment with the judge. Stay tuned.